Shenmue is unlike any game I've ever played. I briefly remember my older cousin playing it on his Dreamcast, and he never gave me a turn. So please, be my guest for these next couple of minutes, grab a drink, get a snack, and let's dive into the world of Shenmue. We play as a young man named Ryo Hazuki. Ryo heads over to his family's dojo to discover that his father is fighting a man in a green silk robe. His name is Lan Di, and he's demanding our father to hand over a special dragon mirror. We try to step in to defend our father, but he picks us up by the neck.
No, don't! Hand over the mirror. Or else... your son. Wait! The mirror. It's buried under the cherry tree.
His guards find the dragon mirror, but that wasn't enough. Lan Di wants her father to die as a warrior, and with one swift blow to the abdomen, he kills her father.
No. Father! No!
We know who our bad guy is. We just lost our most valuable family member, and we're hungry for revenge. So we go downtown and talk to everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean I interacted with every NPC in town to find clues regarding Lan Di. Until we speak to this older gentleman who tells us this.
About Lan Di,
I gather by his name that he is most likely a member of a Chinese black market cartel. They have developed a base in the harbor to bypass customs and expand their activities.
Finally, after hours of pointless interactions, we finally got our first promising lead. The Chinese mafia in Japan hang out in the harbor, so we spend a couple of hours asking NPCs if they know any sailors or people working around the harbor, until we meet this shopkeeper who tells us that sailors usually hang out in bars. Turns out that the sailors are located at the Heartsbeat bar. We ask random sailors if they know anyone in the Chinese cartel, and apparently it's a taboo thing to ask, so we get into a bar fight.
you stupid! That's enough. You put on quite a show, boy. I'm looking for info about a Chinese cartel. Look for a guy named Charlie. Charlie?
We find Charlie, and he tells us that he's a part of the Chinese mafia called the Chi Yu Men. When Ryo gets back home, his housekeeper hands him a letter from a man named Yuanda Zhu. And remember this name, because it's important later in the story, where Yuanda Zhu is a Chinese friend of Ryo's dad. Ryo can't read the letter because it's in Mandarin. We get the letter translated by the woman who owns the china shop downtown, and she tells us that there's a phone number to call and to ask for a Mr. Master Chen.
But I think this part may be a phone number. These ancient characters are numbers.
Here I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm a bit embarrassed because it took me around 30 minutes just to call the phone number. I mean, it's difficult because you have to guide Ryo's fat finger across the rotary telephone, and half the time it was kind of a gamble if I was dialing the right number because either I was going a little bit over or a little bit below the number that I wanted. And every time you pick the wrong number, you have to restart the whole phone number. Once I finally dialed the correct phone number, a man answers and asks to meet at a warehouse number 8 on the harbor. So we take the public bus and I actually have to wait to take the bus? We take the public bus and make our way towards the harbor. Ryo sneaks inside warehouse 8 on the harbor, and we meet Mr. Chen and his son. And during this meeting, we learn 3 things. 1. Master Chen tells us that Lan Di is the leader of the Chinese Chi Yu Men Mafia in Japan.
Lan Di.
Do you know him?
Well, I know of him. An organization called Chi Yu Men. Its leader goes by that name.
2. The mirror that Lan Di stole from our father is one of 2 mirrors. Lan Di has the dragon mirror, and the second mirror is the phoenix mirror, and it's hidden somewhere in Ryo's house. And the Chi Yu Men want to acquire both mirrors because when you put them together, well, you know what? I'll just let Mr. Chen say it.
When the dragon and the phoenix meet, the gates of heaven and earth will open.
and Chi-Yu will resurrect itself on Earth.
Ji-Yu?
It's a legendary Chinese monster that will devour this world of ours. It appears Lan Di will try to make use of both mirrors.
And finally, number 3, Master Chen will help us find Lan Di because he has a personal vendetta against Lan Di since his mafia is interfering with his shipping business on the harbor. We get back home to search around the house and discover that when you put the katana in the wall, it opens up a secret door. Inside the hidden room, we find the Phoenix mirror. We return back to Master Chen with the second mirror, and he tells us that one of the best ways to get in contact with the Chi-Yu Men Mafia is to get a job on the harbor because each worker gets extorted by the Mafia during their shift. So we get a job as a forklift worker on the harbor, and I'm not gonna lie, this was the most frustrating part of the game. I don't know if you've noticed, but at the top right of your screen, there's an in-game clock. And I don't know why, but a lot of video games in the 2000s loved having an in-game clock, and you can only do certain missions during a certain time, and then stores would only be open during certain hours, and if they were closed, you had to come back later. So now that we had an actual virtual job, I just want to put you into perspective, kind of the gameplay loop. So I have to wake up in real life, take public transit, and go to my real life desk job. Then I have to clock into my second job, which is editing daily videos for Twitch streamers. After a long day, I get to wind down, play a video game, which consists me of waking up virtually, waiting to take the virtual bus, and then clocking into my virtual forklift job. I'm not kidding, the game forces you to work a minimum of 5 days. I remember because I took this screenshot that I took on my phone while I was on day 3 of the forklift job, and I just couldn't believe that the game forces you to work 5 days. Finally, after 3.5 real hours of mind-numbing, boring gameplay, I finally get to the cutscene where the Chinese mafia tells Rio to hand over a cut of his salary.
You ain't paid your insurance. That ain't right. You don't pay up, boy. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Rio obviously declines, Master Chen's son joins us, and we get one final boss fight against the whole mafia. And if you look at the footage, I sped it up about 5 times speed, and count the amount of people I'm fighting here. It's like that one scene in Kill Bill, and it just never stops, but I'm not complaining because it was a lot of fun. And then we see Lan Di leaving the harbor on a private boat towards Hong Kong. And Master Chen tells Rio to locate Master Li Xiaotao, who will help us locate Yuanda Zhu, the guy who sent our dad the letter, who will be able to find Lan Di once he arrives in Hong Kong. So the final cutscene is watching Rio take a boat to Hong Kong, and it sucks because I played around 26 hours of a story game just to not really have an ending. Man, listen, this video is already getting way too long already. You've probably lost interest into the video, so I'm just gonna give you a brief summary of Shenmue 2. Rio arrives to Hong Kong and tries to locate Master Li Xiaotao.
This is where Li Xiaotao is?
And we get the funniest cutscene when Rio finally meets her.
You know Li Xiaotao? Here's my letter of introduction.
Taking revenge is no different from murder. Going astray is...
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the master here.
She is Li Xiaotao.
Huh?
We do a bunch of tasks around the city, and even then, she is unwilling to assist us because she says that vengeance is not the right answer and it's gonna lead to a path of evil.
I really need to find young Da Zhu. I must avenge my father's death.
You still don't understand. Martial arts are used to protect people's lives. If you use your fists otherwise, you will walk on the path of evil too.
I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored. So you remember the letter that was sent to Rio's father in Shenmue 1? Well, that was sent by Yuanda Zhu. And Master Li Xiaotao tells us that he lives in Kowloon. So we get to Kowloon, and apparently a Chinese man with a bowler hat that knows exactly where Yuanda Zhu is located in Kowloon, but won't tell us until we impress him. And the only way to impress him is to win a bunch of street fights. So I go to the first street fight, and oh,
You need $500 to enter here.
oh, it's $500 to get in? I can't just...
$500.
You're padding out playtime for me to work a boring 9 to 5...
500.
So we fight the first guy, and we won, and it's time to fight the second guy. And oh,
It costs $1,000 to get in.
oh, it's $1,000 to. So after many hours of working, fighting, working and fighting and working and fighting, we finally get to talk to the man with the boulder hat, and he tells us that Yuanda Zoo is at the top of a building. I'm not kidding, that once you get to the building, there's no elevator. So you have to physically walk every 18 floors of that building, and every time you get to a floor, you can't just go up again. You have to traverse the whole building to take a different set of stairs on the other side of the building, and you have to repeat that 18 different times. But once we get to the rooftop, we see Yuanda Zoo in the wheelchair, and he's about to be transferred over to Landy's helicopter.
Landy.
We fight Landy's biggest bodyguard and rescue Yuanda Zoo from going into the helicopter. And then there's a weird cutscene where we exchange looks with Landy ever since our father died. Then Yuanda Zoo tells us this.
These 7 lights indicate the location of the treasure.
Where is that?
A single mirror is not enough.
What?
Only when this is combined with the light pattern from the dragon mirror will we know. Go to Bailu village in Guilin. The mirrors are made of phantom river stone found only in that village. The descendants of the one who made the mirrors live there too. You might find more information there.
So we go to Guilin and walk and walk and walk until we meet a woman named Shenhua along the way. And it just so happens that Shenhua's family is connected to the legacy of the dragon and the phoenix mirrors. What a coincidence.
My father told me this has been in our family since long, long ago.
She takes us to a stone quarry. Rio puts the dragon mirror on a display case, and then a sword magically starts showing up, and then this happens, which I need to show you because I don't really know how to explain it. So yeah, that's Shenmue 1 and 2, and I have to be very honest, those were the hardest games I've ever played, because nothing is given to you directly. You always have to walk around, you always have to wait, you have to have a job, you have to, so many tasks, and ask a bunch of NPCs. It's very long-winded. And to show you how long-winded the game is, only 6.7% of all players have reached the end, which is absolutely crazy. And just to put it into perspective with other games that took me the same amount of hours to beat, 24% of people beat Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5. So it really just puts into perspective how frustrating Shenmue 1 and 2 are. Listen, maybe it's because I'm a Gen Z crybaby with like corrupted dopamine receptors, and our generation does tend to follow the path of least resistance. But man, the gameplay for like a story game is just so grindy. I'm a bit confused for the praise because I don't really agree with the gameplay philosophy, but I'm not kidding, there are thousands upon thousands of great reviews. For video games that came out in 1999 and 2001, it's fairly impressive how you can interact with every NPC on the map, and they have different voice lines depending where you are on the story. The music is fantastic, and the environments and set pieces really make you feel like you're either in Hong Kong, in a rural part of China, or even in a small Japanese village. Okay, I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully hopefully I get to see you next week. All right, bye.